Hello, Vermont history students. Welcome to Vermont History 184 for the summer of 2015. And this is the first of 12 of these really short videos that I will be attaching to each one of what are called units in this course. The course is 6 weeks long, and I sort of wanted to, as much as possible, sort of replicate what an on-campus course is like, which means that basically if it was on campus, it would be 2 classes a week, say Tuesday and Thursday. But in this case, instead, what I have is over the 6 weeks we have 12 units. And you can think of them as sort of Tuesday and Thursday. I think of them as more sort of like Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday. Stretched out over 2 days only because that makes it easier on you. The more I stretch out the times that you are responsible for getting things in, the more flexible it is, the easier it is for you to accommodate, for the course to accommodate your schedule. But however you want to think about it, that it makes sense. But sort of think of it as 12 units, and each one spans 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday. For each of the units, I will make one of these videos. I taught this course online for the first time last year, and I asked the people who run continuing ads online services if it was a good idea for me to make videos, and they said sure, but make sure you keep them super short. People don't want to watch 15-minute long videos. 6 minutes, 5 minutes is good, so we'll try to keep to that very much. Welcome, and my name's Paul, and I taught at UVM for 10 years, and then moved over to Linden State, which is cool. I like it. I like living in the kingdom. I taught Vermont history every single year when I was at UVM, like every semester, and I teach it every year at LSC. Ever since I moved over to LSC, I have taught Vermont history at UVM. No one does in-person courses in the summer anymore, so I began to offer it as a online course last year. I thought it went very well. I know that some of the students thought it went really well. All the ones I talked to enjoyed it very much, and I certainly want you to enjoy it very much. As well, here are the things you need to do to get started. There is a Get Started tab on the left-hand column of the Blackboard page, and it gives you some instructions. I would like for you to go onto the discussion board, where there is a introductions thread, and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and particularly I'm very interested in what you might want to know about over the course of the semester, because I can always cater the course to suit what your interests are. That's less true of the early part of Vermont history, because by the end of this week we will have blasted through the colonial era, the Revolutionary era, and the era of Vermont independence, which is from 1777 to 1791. We'll get through those things pretty quickly, but please make recommendations or suggestions about what you might want to learn about, and I will certainly try to accommodate you as much as possible. Please have a look at the syllabus. I put the syllabus up under the syllabus tab, and then after you've thoroughly had a good look at it, please go to the discussion board and post your questions about the syllabus and about the course in general. Rather than have you email me independently, you can. I want you to be happy. But it's better for everyone if you actually post syllabus questions to the discussion board, because other people might have those questions as well. And then what you want to do is read through the unit outline that I wrote, and the outlines are supposed to be sort of a collection of sort of semi-lecture-y kind of material, and they're supposed to be as short as I can keep them, while also being clear and coherent about what the learning outcomes and what the point of them are. Hopefully I've been editing the Unit 1.1, and hopefully it's good. What the main point of this is the Unit 1 goes from the founding of Vermont, early 1760s, to the eve of the Revolutionary War, the mid-1770s, 1775. And what you need to get out of not just this unit, but the second one as well, is that the founding experience and the founders themselves are a very sort of ambiguous group of people, and it's a very ambiguous experience that can be used to argue virtually any ideological point. In the future, I'm going to be dividing you into 2 groups, what I call uphill and downhill, uphillers and downhillers, basically farmers and businessmen, people in small towns versus big towns, and then I'm going to have you argue with each other. in what are called town meetings, which are 100% virtual. They revolve around you arguing about primary documents. It's fun. And in the process of that, I want you to be able to claim to be a true Vermonter and explain why your opponents aren't true Vermonters. Claim the legacy of the founders as people being like you and as unlike your opponents. And in order to be able to do that, to argue that wind farms, if Ethan Allen was here today, he'd support wind farms, he'd oppose them. You can use them to argue whatever you want. I want you to get out of this early period, this first week, that it was a very ambiguous and easily manipulable experience. And so the Unit 1 will get you up to about 1775, and there's a set of facts, obviously, that you will run through. The state early settlement begins around Bennington, early 1760s, on the basis of New Hampshire grants. The colonial government of New Hampshire handed out grants to what became Vermont, much of it, without any authority really to do so. After the French and Indian War was over, New York wanted to hand out grants on some other places. England's government, the Privy Council, ruled that New York had jurisdiction over what became Vermont, while still leaving the validity of New Hampshire grants in question. So New Hampshire grants tumbled in price. A bunch of frontier farmers from Connecticut, mostly, bought these devalued New Hampshire land grants and moved up to to Vermont. And then when New York tried to either have them buy New York grants or eject them from their land, they fought back, which leads you to the Green Mountain Boys, the Ethan Allen thing, and the Albany test case in 1771, and the Gods of the Hills and not the Gods of the Valleys, and all that is fun, and hopefully covered well in the textbook and the outline. And leading up to sort of culminating in 1775's Westminster Massacre, because there's two sides to the state early on, and the west side is a bit wilder, and the east side has the reputation for being pious, larger family groups, wealthier. Two sides of the state were mutually suspicious of each other in a sort of general, to make things simple, kind of way. And the question that, the challenge of the state's founders was to get a whole bunch of very diverse and different kinds of people ideologically to buy into an experiment of Vermont being independent as opposed to being part of New York, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, back in the British Empire. A lot of people wanted different things. Vermont, in order to work, had to be an exciting experiment, and so the exciting experiment was reconciling freedom and unity. We'll get to that. So here's your two questions. The first question is about just trying to sort of symbolically establish ambiguity. Ethan Allen, there's a historical site on the Intervale in Burlington called the Ethan Allen Homestead, and I was on the Board of Trustees for many years. And it's a period house, and it's about where Ethan Allen probably lived at the time, but we're not sure it's actually his house. We're not sure. Could have been his house. We're not sure if it was. Does it really matter, though? That's the first question. Is it good enough that it's symbolically his house? You can go there and experience the Ethan Allen thing and look at the Winooski River and imagine what it was like and put yourself in his shoes. Or does it actually matter if it would actually be his house? Do you value the experience if it's someone else's house, actually? So that's a question, and it's on the discussion board. The other question has to do with the ideological outlook of the people who founded the state. They were people who were playing this traditional colonial game called provide land for kids. And this is the way colonial society in America worked. You're born closer to the coast. Your dad has moved there during the frontier period. He raises you. By the time you want land, the place you live in has become beyond frontier, is settled, and land is scarce and expensive. So your dad sells land there, moves where it's cheap and plentiful, closer to the interior, and then buys you and your brother's land. And then he goes off, and then what happens is you raise your kids, and by the time they want land, where you've moved to is now settled, and land is expensive and scarce, so you move further to the interior. When Vermont's is founded in the 1760s and 70s, you're in about the fifth generation of provide land for kids, going back to the 1630s Great Migration from England of Puritans. And what has the game of Provide Land for Kids done to the ideological outlook, the ideology of the people who founded Vermont? Did it make them really sort of flexible, innovative people who embrace change, who love to move to new environments and encounter new challenges? Or are they the kind of people who did not like change, who liked tradition, who wanted to farm and generally live the way that their fathers and grandfathers lived? That's why they kept moving away from the coast, where innovation was taking place, because they wanted to live in very traditional ways. Were they competitive? Did Provide Land for Kids train them to be competitive or cooperative? You know, what kind of, on a level, basic level, kind of people were they? And so this is an important question because it leads you to sort of frame your understanding of what the founders wanted when they established the state in 1777 and wrote the state constitution down there in Windsor. And that's what I want you to get out of the first unit. Really simple, straightforward. Hopefully you all have the textbook, do the reading in that, go to the Get Started tab, introduce yourself, have a look at the syllabus and ask any questions you have about it. Write me, I'll be around, and I'm very much looking forward to hopefully getting to know you all, and I'm very much hoping that this is going to be a great experience for you. All right?